Today I decided to, hang on, I decided to move my camera further away. That's the first thing. So I thought I would share with you, because I'd love to know for you, when did you sort of first get interested in spirituality? Or your first awareness of spirit yourself? That's what my question is today. And I just wanted to share with you because I think it's sort of an interesting story, especially since I ended up really still with my work being in the area of spirituality, and especially for women, in tapping into our inner knowing and tapping into our divine nature. So one of my earliest memories, you guys, is of walking with my mom in Jamaica, in our where we were from, and she was holding my hand, and I just remember seeing a nun. And sometimes you wonder, because I think I was so young. I'm like, did I make this up? But there was a nun, and I remember she had on the full habit. I remember the black and white of the outfit. And I looked at her and I said something like, I want to be like her. And my mom said, you can't. She yanked me. I remember that physical, because she yanked my arm and she said, we're not Catholic, we're Baptist. And I was like, I think probably somewhere between 6, 7, or 8, but probably not even that old. I think I might even been a little younger. And I didn't really know what she meant. I was kind of like, okay, well, she didn't like that idea. That was what I got from that. Yeah, and then like you, and again, share in the comments, when you were little, did you like sometimes lay around and wonder, like, where does the edge of the world, like how big is the world? I'm sure you did. Like how, not even just how big is the planet, but then if there are other planets, like how far does it go? Is there a border? Does it stop? And thoughts like that. I used to have thoughts like that. One thing I remember doing that's interesting, that is actually, I don't know, I read later, it's a spiritual technique. I think it was the word tomato. I just kept repeating a word over and over. I know this seems like a strange thing. Repeating it over and over and over until the word lost its meaning. And then it was a little bit scary, because I literally was like, the word, I was just a sound, and it didn't have a meaning attached. And so actually that ties into some Buddhist ideas. It just was sound. And so actually the Buddhist idea would be like, when you just like, if I had a tomato, just to like sort of experience it without the concept of it necessarily. So I had taken the name, the concept, and sort of exploded it, and I was left like, whoa, like I blew my own mind kind of thing. Let's see. And then I was raised pretty traditionally, religious family. My mom and my dad were, were Christian. They didn't go to church regularly, but they certainly knew the Bible, inside and out, and read it regularly. My sort of a thing that came up for us when I was a preteen, being a little bit sassy, especially for a child from that region. I was a little bit sassy, but never rude. In fact, I mentioned it, my dad, you were not allowed to curse at all if you were a child, or even to say anything really negative. But my question to them was always, like Easter, they would go to church. And I just kind of wondered, because I felt, I was very spiritual. And I said, well, why do you only go on these days if you really believe? I didn't say that though. I said, well, why don't you go on other days? Isn't it? It's still as important, which is a great question. But I just remember they would get annoyed with me about that. But I was really drawn to Eastern spirituality, and I really believe in past lives. And so I was drawn very early into, I started doing yoga when I was about 14. And then, and enjoyed that very, very much. And it also calmed me. I lived in a very stressful home. The parents had, a lot of difficulties that they were coping with. And so it was a very sort of dysfunctional, stressful home. And I really just found my sense of peace very much in sort of Eastern traditions, and really felt like I had clearly been in past